years in the job as he heads off into the sunset. Graham Hunter was in studio today. He was interviewing Kevin Kilbane for his podcast, Graham's podcast that is, and then afterwards Kev had a 20-25 minute chat with Graham, which will go out on the football show. And we'll also have Kevin Cullen of the Boston Globe talking Super Bowl. Text number 53106. We're on Twitter at Off The Ball. We're on Facebook Live. We're on Periscope and Twitter, and of course we are still here on the radio. Richie McCormick in studio as well. Hello.
Joseph, you well?
Very well. And Kevin Kilbane.
Hi Joe.
How you doing?
Brilliant.
How long was Graham Hunter's interview with you?
It was feature length, let's just say that, Joe.
What are we
That's
talking?
just his questions.
Hour?
Oh, hour and a half, I'd say. Yeah.
90 minutes, you could
90 minutes, yeah, there you go. Doesn't get any better than that.
Okay, great. So you and Graham chewed the fat for 90 minutes. That goes out in his podcast. When's that going out?
I'm not sure he's undecided on that yet.
Okay. And were you happy with...
Will it see the light today? I don't know.
Were you happy with your performance? Did you give too much away, too little away?
Are you ever happy with your performance? That's the thing, I don't know. Could I have done things differently? Yes, perhaps so, yeah, Joe. That's a good one, isn't it? Yeah. And I don't know, he was fine. He was good.
Well,
I enjoyed chatting to him.
I asked Graham how it was, and he said it was orgasmic. And
he did actually say that.
Fine.
Yeah, no, it was good. No, I'm just saying, it was good, really good. Really, really good, yeah.
Good to orgasmic.
Orgasmic, yeah, it wasn't orgasmic for me, Joe, I've got to say that.
Right, okay, fair enough.
That's not unusual, the one side will come away unsatisfied.
And the football show then, so you talked to Graham, so La Liga is pretty interesting at the moment. What are we going to hear you and Graham chatting about?
Yeah, chat about I think it's a situation really, we talked a little bit around it last night, Gareth Bale's situation. Gareth Bale now, and even he would think it as well, he's been held back a little bit at Real Madrid with Cristiano Ronaldo. The Ronaldo strop from the weekend as well, not entirely happy, speaks a little bit about that. Speaks about Barcelona as well, where he's spoken over the last couple of months to us about almost wanting to peak into the next phase of the Champions League. Real Madrid, certainly if you're judging the weekend's 7-1 win for them against Deportivo as some sort of benchmark, but Barcelona themselves, Luis Suarez right back in form at the moment. He just can't stop scoring, and of course Lionel Messi. So it's looking good for the La Liga sides in the next round of fixtures in the Champions League. Yeah. On
the Bale being held back thing, that is quite literally in large part about Ronaldo, and his attitude to him. Like, you've had it on good authority without giving away your sources that is a genuine issue for Bale. Ronaldo,
massive issue,
is the alpha male. Okay, massive issue. Ronaldo's is the alpha male, and frankly is looking at Bale and doing nothing to help him. Yeah. And that ripples through the whole group.
I think so, yeah. I think it's certainly something that's affecting the team in general, yeah.
It's very difficult for Gareth Bale. Like, do you fight that? And like, imagine being in a group where, you know, there's the alpha male Ronaldo, everyone, you know, he kind of dictates a lot of the terms. Even just things like being in a group where you don't get on with someone like that, waiting for flights, being at the hotel, around the lobby, all the time you have to kill on the bus as a team, in the dressing room. That is such an energy drainer if you're Gareth Bale. Like, on the one
and I think for everybody else.
Do you think so? For everybody else?
Talking to Ronaldo, I'm talking, I don't think it's maybe that Gareth Bale's way. Talking to Gareth Bale, and you've got someone else's eyes on you.
There's a lot of tiptoeing around the situation.
I can imagine it'd be a bit like that.
Okay. Is that a prevalent thing at many clubs? Like,
no, not really. I've heard of it in different clubs. I think the Andy Cole, Teddy Sheringham situation. I suppose that one would have been. Did that affect the rest of the team? It clearly didn't on the pitch anyway. But I think it does come to a head at some stage. Yeah, particularly off it. But
there's a slightly different power dynamic with Sheringham and Cole were close to equals, whereas Ronaldo kind of runs Real Madrid. Yeah, he's got Perez in his pocket, or certainly maybe until relatively recently. And
I think the suggestion from Graham later, the suggestion is that Ronaldo isn't happy with his wages at the moment, given the fact is that lads have gone in now on a lot more money than him, and he's not happy. He's not happy at all. He doesn't want to be the third, fourth, fifth highest paid player in the world. He wants to be the number one, and he simply isn't at the moment, no. Because
there was a survey in one of the Madrid papers where 70% of fans wanted to see Ronaldo sold at the end of the season.
I didn't actually see that. No,
and that is the kind of thing Florentino Perez takes note of. I mean, if you're the president and you have to run in a presidential election all the time, you kind of have to have.
Would you take 100 million from now? Would you take 100 million from him?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Snap your hand off for 100 million for Ronaldo. Like, as great a player and all as he is, you've now reached a point where you're not going to get that money again for him. Yeah. So you wait another year, another couple of injuries mount up. There's another year on the clock. Like, you're not going to get that kind of cash from him again. 100 million, you take it.
Yeah. I wonder if you're Bale and you're in this very difficult environment and it's probably holding you back. You feel like a bit of a failure to leave with your tail between your legs to go and be the main man somewhere else, but It's very difficult. I can imagine just the desperation to get out of there. Like, why am I on the face of it, I'm a multi-millionaire, I'm one of the best players in the world. I should be absolutely ripping it up and enjoying my life, and it's a little bit miserable. I just get out of here. I've got options.
Yeah, well, exactly. And I think over the summer, Real Madrid did want him to leave. They were desperate to get Kylian Mbappe in there, but Benzema, or particularly Bale, because they'd have got more money for Bale, he was the one that they were looking to try and ship aside and offload.
So he wanted to stay despite the situation.
It was from certainly from what Graham's saying, it was certainly Bale that wanted to stay. He was desperate to stay,
unless he's gambling on the fact that Ronaldo might be gone. So.
Well, that could be an issue as well. I think that could be maybe in his mind, but I think certainly watching him the last few weeks, he's almost just gone, right, sod you. That's it now. I'm going to have to do it now. That's it.
I'll be honest, on the sliding scale, it's pretty hard to feel sympathy for a footballer who's earning a couple of $100,000 a week and playing his trades at Real Madrid week in and week out. You know, on the sympathy scale,
sure,
I feel bad for him a little bit.
But you know what? If you're not happy, you're not happy.
Look, Joe, don't I know it?
Money's irrelevant, Rich. We know that.
It's true. If you're not enjoying your day-to-day life,
other members of the team aren't listening to you when you're trying to perform your duties and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. You know, I appreciate your point about the sliding scale. So, Paraic Duffy, his annual report was out today. We'll talk to him around 7:30. Well, we'll play it out. He was in earlier on. We'll play out the Duffy interview around 7:30. Richie, you're starting your news round with League Cup action.
Yeah, and it could well be a famous night at Ashton Gate tonight. Bristol City go into the second leg of their League Cup semi-final 2-1 down on Premier League leaders Manchester City. Bristol City, for their part, show 2 changes from the first leg, the most significant of which perhaps sees Luke Steele start for Frank Fielding in goal, with Liam Walsh also in for Nathan Baker. Their team in full is Luke Steele, as I mentioned, in goal. A back 4 of Corey Smith, Aidan Flint, Bailey Wright and Horder Magnuson in midfield. 4 there with Josh Brownhill on the right, Marlon Pack and Liam Walsh in the middle, and Joe Bryan on the left, with Jamie Patterson in behind Bobby Reid. For City, strong enough starting 11 for them, as we will have anticipated. There was a change in goal with Claudio Bravo starting for Edgerton. Otherwise, Kyle Walker, John Stones, Nicholas Otamendi and Alexander Zinchenko make up their back 4. Fernandinho and Bernardo Silva sit in midfield. In front of them, the trio of David Silva, Kevin De Bruyne and Leroy Sané, with Sergio Aguero leading the line. Bristol City boss Lee Johnson, though, remains hopeful.
Listen, we're still in a tie, aren't we? And I think to go to the Etihad and perform as well as we did, disappointing to concede in the last minute like we did, and obviously it's a 2-1 lead for Manchester City, but this is a difficult environment to come and play in, I think, for any team. The fans will be very boisterous and vocal in their mood, and I think we've got quality, so of course we're going to have to defend, and we're going to have to defend very well, but on the attacking front we've got to score, haven't we? We need to score, and we've got to do everything we can to try and get that goal.
If the way to beat Liverpool, Kev, as we saw last night, is to sit back and soak up the pressure, then your way to beat Manchester City is to press right up on them. Yeah,
they had a go at doing that in the first game, didn't they? They pressed them, they tried to squeeze them all the way through. They then tried to play a real quick counter-attacking game themselves. So they certainly got a lot of energy in the side. They got a lot of legs in the team. Given the fact that they scored at the Etihad, then who's to say that they can't do it tonight? It's a good chance for them, really. But just the side that he put out there, Guardiola, you know, when you've got Silva and De Bruyne in the side, I think it just puts a total different perspective on City. You think of them differently, and then up front, then you've got Bernardo Silva coming in. He's looking to make an impact with Aguero. So the front line, the front 6 are just brilliant, aren't they?
Yeah. Good news on Seamus Coleman.
Yeah, he's taken a significant step on his return from injury. The Republic of Ireland captain has started for Everton's under-23s in their game with Portsmouth this evening. It's Coleman's first game since his horrific leg break in the World Cup qualifier with Wales at the Aviva all of 10 months ago. As you mentioned, outgoing GAA Director General Paraic Duffy says the current single-tier football championship is unsustainable. Duffy today released his final annual report before leaving the position. He also restated a plea to address illegal payments to managers at both club and inter-county level while speaking with Usheen earlier today.
But at the moment, I think we're compromised because of the fact that payments are being made. I want to make the point, first of all, that most managers and most coaches are not being paid, but quite a few are. And I don't think we can live that situation forever. I think if we want to remain amateur, then we have to be prepared to sit down and have a genuine debate about how we can do that. I'm not against paying very fair expenses to managers and coaches, but you can't go beyond that. And the first thing is to recognise we have a problem and say, yes, we're prepared to do something about it. We haven't got to that point yet.
Do you think we will?
I think we will. We'll have to. I think we will. It'll take time, but we'll get there.
So Paraic Duffy was in earlier on. We'll play out the interview after the news round. Like, he's always good to come in and do interviews, Duffy. You know, he could just put out the report today and sail off, do his few bits. But he came in, he gave us 30, 35 minutes, and we talk about a range of issues. Like, we knew he was going to be in for a few days, so I rang different people across the GAA, different viewpoints, and if anything, it confused me even more. The whole fixture situation, what people want from the association, what ethos they want, where it's going to go. You've got so many different views, and very strongly held different views, and trying to navigate that and shape that is problematic from the off gets very complicated. And
so many issues are tied into other issues as well. Like when we were talking about two of the things in the report today are him looking for a multi-tiered football championship.
Yes.
And there's also the issue of payments to managers. And, as soon as you start getting into the realm of finances, that ultimately dictates how the football championship will go. Because we were talking about that piece, and I know the splitting of Dublin is neither here nor there, but I think it was Robbie Kelleher in the Sindo just this past week was pointing out the fact that Meath and Kildare have gone through, with Dublin's boom, a massive population growth, and why that hasn't had a knock-on effect of players and teams from Meath and Kildare and others in Leinster performing better. So you're tied into the finance. That's a lot of that is tied into finance. Would a multi-tiered football championship aid that, or work to the detriment of those sides? I mean, those are things that are finally in the balance, and it's a very hard thing to answer without actually putting them into practice, first of all. And it's a very hard thing for him to answer on a purely notional scale.
Yeah. Well, look, he was in earlier, and we certainly put a lot of the big issues to him, or the more important issues, largely fixtures, the club player. Like even you mentioned Leinster. Leinster over the last 6 years is down 144 teams. Adult teams, not clubs. Clubs obviously can put out different 5 or 6 different teams, but Leinster is down 144 teams, and the population in Leinster over the last 6 years has gone up. Kildare, Meath, has been, as you said, lots of people moving into the area. It's a different scenario to the west of the country, where there's just issues with rural population. But you can draw you can potentially draw the conclusion that the club player doesn't have a great existence. And that's the reason. Now, it might not be the reason, but it definitely could be the reason.
Is there also, and I don't have the numbers to hand on this one, so I apologise, it's a more nebulous thing of the club is, and we're told this from advertising campaigns and on and on and on, that the club is a parish thing, and the club is your local team and the team you want to represent. When you've had a population that is spread out from Dublin, heading into Meath and heading into Kildare and even often into Cavan, there's no natural gravitational point. You have to work hard to get that person who's moved out to Virginia or to moved out to Centralstown or moved out to Screen to try and get them involved with that club, No,
it's very true. And you can get, again, diving into it, it can get so bloody complicated. Like reading the ESRI report from 2013, it made the point that a GAA adult footballer male is 50% more likely to give up than a soccer player male. And you kind of go, oh my God, that shows it's the club situation, and GAA is so bad, and the soccer players just get to play their 9 months of the year. But then the ESRI report made some good points, that's due to allegiance with the club, as you mentioned. It's also due to the fact that you can go and play five-a-side, you can keep up your soccer as you age with just five-a-side. That avenue is not as available with GAA. So
it's not as malleable again.
No, there's so many. It's a complicated picture. Anyway, we'll play it out just after 7:30. It's Paraic Duffy, who sails off into the sunset after 10 years at the helm next month.
Maybe Super 11's hurling is the way forward, Joe. Maybe the Fenway Classic has shown us the light. Elsewhere, Caroline Wozniacki stemmed the flow of quarter-final upsets at the Australian Open today, but the women's second seed needed 3 sets and a late-night finish. It was almost 2 o'clock in the morning before she saw off Carla Suarez Navarro. Wozniacki will face tournament debutant Elise Mertens in the semi-finals after the Belgian beat 4th seed Alina Svitolina in straight sets in the early hours of this morning. Injury put paid to Rafa Nadal's challenge. He retired with a thigh injury in the 5th set of his quarter-final with Marin Cilic. The world number 1 feels it's an opportunity lost.
I don't want to say frustration, but it's really tough to accept, especially after a tough December that I had without having the chance to start in Abu Dhabi and then in Brisbane. So yeah, I worked hard to be here. We did all the things that we believed that were the right things to do to be ready. I think I was ready. I was playing okay.
Some texts in. So, hi guys, Bale earns, this is like John Gregory on Stan Collymore here. How can a lad on 20 grand be depressed? So, hi guys, Bale earns 150 grand a week sterling. He's been paid...
I think he earns quite a bit more than that, actually.
Yeah, that's an underestimate. He's been paid well to be in that difficult environment. Us mortals have to work 50 hours per week in that same environment for peanuts. Wake up! Is the sign off.
There's an element of that you take. Of course, you've got to have appreciation for your surroundings and appreciation for the job that you're doing. But your point earlier on, if you're not happy, you can't. No matter what money you're earning, it doesn't matter if you're not happy. That's it.
Don't all the studies say once you get past 60,000-70,000 in most Western cultures, it makes statistically you're no more likely to be happy once your basic needs are met. So, okay, Gareth Bale has all that money, but I mean, he still has to get up out of bed. He still can only wear one pair of clothes at a time. He can, what does all that money do for you beyond a certain point if you are hating every minute of being around a guy who's making your life miserable?
He's loving his golf, Joe. That's the one thing he does. He loves his golf, so he can work on his golf swing. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't think we have to feel sorry for him, but it's definitely very possible that he's unhappy and it's holding him back.
But I think the point that we're making it is he is now having more of an influence on that team than Cristiano Ronaldo. That is the thing, certainly in the last few weeks, and the suggestion is that he will have more of an impact long term now. We know that Cristiano Ronaldo is perhaps maybe on the slide a little bit. He isn't necessarily reaching the levels that we've seen in recent seasons, whereas Gareth Bale is... Well, potentially, we still got to see the best of him in a Real Madrid shirt, even though he has had a great time out there.
Yeah, I've so much sympathy for Paraic Duffy. He has to keep so many warring tribes happy. It's an impossible job. The GAA needs less democracy if it wants to get anything done, says Pierce. I think so too, really. I mean, just trying to keep everybody happy when they're all so entrenched in so many things, and so many people have power. County boards, provincial councils, they don't want to give that up. It just makes it very difficult to get anything done quickly.
It was a busy day of contract signings at Burnley today. The club signed Aaron Lennon for an undisclosed fee from Everton. He'd fallen down the pecking order at Goodison following the arrival, of course, of Theo Walcott. But the highest paid employee at Burnley will be the manager. Sean Dyche has signed a new 4.5-year contract at the club. His new deal will keep him at Turf Moor until 2022. He'll thus complete a decade at the club and is reportedly worth £3.5 million a year.
Interesting, not the usual.
Is it a decade at Burnley?
It'll be 20 by that stage. It'll be 2012. Yeah, so 2022. If he rolls around to that point, it'll be a
play to him.
Should the manager get paid more than all the players?
Well, you couldn't argue in this instance because he has transformed that club. He is, in getting promoted with the fourth lowest budget in the Championship. Of course, then getting relegated in the first season, but then he had the firepower, he had the money available to him then to go and get Andre Gray and get promoted back into the Premier League. And now he's built them. The training ground, I think I've said to you before, it's one of, if not the best in the Premier League. He's transformed the place, so you'd have to say he's totally worth that. Yeah,
I always thought it was questionable maybe that Alex Ferguson was getting paid less than a lot of his players. I know their image rights and various things are more valuable, but sure, you're
well, Alex Ferguson has argued that himself, hasn't he? I think he's argued that case that the manager should be the highest paid player at the club.
Sure, he has.
There is an argument for it, but there's also an argument for the fact is then that, like you look at this week, it's almost like a special case for United. They get Alexis Sanchez in. So is it every time a player comes in, then the manager's got parity with that player when they come into the club?
Yeah.
Or if you take a Watford where they would sack Marco Silva and bring in Javi Gracia, and what basis would Javi Gracia, who's got no Premier League experience, have being the highest paid player at the
exactly.
person at the club?
Exactly, that's the thing. So there are arguments for it. I think in this case, most definitely,
sure.
I think that's right.
Maybe it's a case by case thing. Lots of text coming in along the lines of, doesn't Gareth Bale just need to grow a pair and stand up to Ronaldo, says one person.
There's an element of that, but then all of a sudden, where does it get you? You've mentioned it, he's certainly very close to Florentino Perez. He runs the show, doesn't he? That's the thing, that's the difficulty I think Bale will have.
French rugby?
Yeah, it's in turmoil once more. The offices of the French Rugby Federation were today raided as part of an investigation into an alleged conflict of interest involving President Bernard Laporte. He's accused of showing undue favouritism to Montpellier, which is owned by Laporte's friend Mohad Altrad. To add another wrinkle to this, Altrad's company recently became the first ever shirt sponsor of the French national team. More will come of this one, I'm sure. On the Six Nations, Wales at half-time bigger could miss their first 3 games of the tournament. He picked up a shoulder injury in the Ospreys' defeat defeat to Claremont at the weekend and is likely to miss games with Scotland, England and with Ireland at the Aviva on February 28th. Wales are already without Reece Priestland in that position, while Bath prop Henry Thomas has been called up to the England squad as cover for Kyle Sinclair. The Lion has returned to Harlequins to have a hamstring injury assessed. Soon to be Munster second row Tadhg Beirne has been nominated for European Rugby Player of the Year. A string of impressive performances for Scarlets have seen the Leinster Academy graduate named as one of 4 Irish players included on the 15-man long list. His future Munster teammate Conor Murray also makes the cut, as do Leinster pair Tadhg Furlong and Jonathan Sexton. Leinster pair Scott Fardy and Eason Nasewa also get the nod. The winner will be decided by a combination of public vote and a panel that includes Brian O'Driscoll and Stuart Barnes. The long list of 15 is to be whittled down to 5. UCD are the first side through to this year's Sigerson Cup quarter-finals. They were rarely troubled in a 2-14-1-6 win over Maynooth University this afternoon. 2 preliminary round ties this evening, with Trinity facing Dundalk IT and Athlone IT playing host to Garda College. Development on the domestic front football-wise, the Continental Tires Women's National League will be an 8-team league for the 2018 season. DFEI have today confirmed the addition of Limerick FC to the league. The fixtures for the 2018 season will be released tomorrow. While former Manchester United player Phil Neville has been appointed England women's head coach, he signed a contract until the end of the 2021 European Championship and he succeeds Mark Sampson. Right. Newcastle, they've signed Kennedy on loan from Chelsea until the end of this season. The Brazilian left back has had a similar spell with Watford last year. He's played 6 times for Chelsea during the current campaign, but he hasn't made a Premier League appearance. While Crystal Palace have made their first signing of the January window, Polish international Jaroslav Jak has signed a 3.5-year contract at Selhurst Park, having left Zagłębie Lubin in his native Poland, and he becomes the first ever Polish player in Palace's history. Here at home, Derry City have re-signed Nicky Lowe until June. The midfielder joins from Scottish Premiership outfit Dundee, at whom he'll be out of contract at the end of their season. Lowe impressed while on loan with the Candy Stripes last term. While Celtic could move 11 points clear at the top of the Scottish Premiership tonight, Brendan Rodgers' side are away to Partick Thistle. That one kicks off at Fairhill at 7:45. Tonight's rearranged Scottish Cup 4th round tie between Albion Rovers and St Johnstone has been postponed once more. After clearing away snow, this time the game has been called off because of a waterlogged pitch after torrential rain there. It has been rescheduled for Monday. Still going ahead tonight, Livingston face Falkirk and Peterhead take on Dumbarton.
Lads, there are alpha males and golden boys in all walks of life, not just football. Bale just has to grin and bear it or push him down the fire escape like normal people would, says Rahini Mick. And on Dyche, Brian reminding us that George Graham insisted he was paid more than any player in his Arsenal management days. I didn't realise that.
No, I didn't know that, actually.
That was probably at a tipping point in terms of the game though as well, where the players became more powerful. Like, he was manager from the late 80s and then got sacked 93, 94, so a couple of years into the Premier League era. So what, like, you're talking about the likes of Anders Limpar and Tony Adams probably would have been the best paid players there and wouldn't have been that much different perhaps from what the manager was earning anyway.
Yeah, that's the thing.
That's right.
Very different from 500 grand a week. Are we going to pay our manager that?
Yeah. I mean, it just shows how far Burnley have come. Burnley 3 years ago, the highest paid player in the club when they first got promoted to the Premier League was on 10, 15 grand a week. Now all of a sudden they're able to pay 70, 80 grand a week to the manager. So that's the level that they're at. Amazing, really, the turnaround.
We had Lee Dixon on a while back talking about the 89 season and talking about George Graham. And like, the fine for being late was a tenner.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
You know, and like, it's amazing how quickly the game changed. We played footage of Graham saying to the players, you know, if you're late, you have to hand over your tenner, and if you don't hand over your tenner, then I'll get, I don't know who the woman's name was, but he said, I'll get X in the office to take it out of your salary and we'll take 20. You know, and like,
handing over the cash still hurts though. Still hurts.
Dixon made that point.
Yeah.
Because I said a tenner. I said even by 80 standards, that's not that much.
Yeah.
And he was saying, no, but it's the physical act of having to give George Graham your cash.
Well, I remember when I was at Preston,
which was reportedly going to charity.
Yeah. Preston say early 90s it was, and that was like, if you got done a tenner out your wages, I was on 90 quid a week. And it was like, it was a pro, and you get done a tenner, that was a killer for you. You didn't want to be handing over a tenner. You get done twice, and you're handing over 20, 30 quid, whoever it will be, at the end of a week or a month. No, not having that job.
What were is being late the number one fine?
Yeah, most managers would probably have that. Yeah.
And beyond that, were there fines for much else? I know you can get hit with a 2-week wages for something special.
Some clubs would have had some sort of fine system in place, all sorts, leaving water bottles out on the training ground, kicking balls away, not collecting balls if you're doing extra shooting practice or passing drill, all these sort of things going in. There was even one club I had, you were fined for peeing in the shower.
Really?
Yeah.
How do you police that?
I was just going to ask that question.
Well, when you've got certain teammates in your side that continuously do it, this is why it come into play, i.e. Jimmy Bullard. So, so it can't. We had to go strong on that one. Yeah.
How much was a fine for peeing in the showers?
Was it Hull? I don't know actually. I don't know what it was. I think it was around about 100 quid, 50 quid.
Worth it, says Bullard.
Well, yeah.
Never want the show to be called lowbrow. Doesn't deserve it.
Oh, but that's what I'm saying. That's the sort of level that you're at times. You know, there's all sorts of different fines. Yeah.
Isn't that brilliant that there had to be a peeing in the shower?
Yeah.
Because of Jimmy Bullard.
Fair enough. Okay, that is our news round.
What a nice place to leave it, Joe.
Done for this evening. We've got Kevin Cullen on the way after 8 o'clock. He's going to talk Super Bowl. On the football show, as mentioned, Graham Hunter was in studio earlier with Kev talking La Liga. And up next, we have GAA Director General Paraic Duffy in studio talking about his final annual report.
Off the Ball on News Talk
in association with Air. Don't miss live Allianz League's GAA action this weekend on the Air Sport Pack with a double header from Croke Park and Páirc Uí Chaoimh.
Irish Water is coming to the end of the refunds process for household water charges. Cheques have been issued to account holders for the full amount paid. If you have a query or concern about the process, or if you have not received your cheque, please call us